Okay, so today I'm removing the jack springs from the whip assembly, and this is the jack spring. So these are really weak, and I'm going to remove them so I can replace them with new ones, and they're going to be stronger, and they're going to do what we want them to do in the keyboard. And to do that, I have this jig that John made, and it's kind of like a stand, and it shields the wood, so when I use the heat gun, I'm not going to burn the wood. This is my heat gun. This is an attachment that directs the heat, and it's really important because we don't want to heat up the whole whip. We just want to heat up the glue on the jack spring. And so this is like a palette knife. I got it from Michael's, and it's to help shield. I also have these two tools, which are for removing the glue and scraping. This is called a jack spring hole reamer. So this is like what it's for, and then this is from Harbor Freight. It's like a little pick, and it works really well too. And then the last thing I'm using is this plier. It is a very small plier, and it has these like little teeth, so that's really useful. This is from Home Depot. It's actually really hard to find really nice pliers like this for doing like precision work, I guess. So anyways, what I do is I take the whip and I stick it in this little jig, and so it's covering up most of it. It's not covering up this little part, and John just kind of cut this out, so I'm sure that I feel like we should design a better one that like covers up the whole thing, but haven't had time, so this is what we use. And so that's why I'm using this to kind of cover up the rest of it. And I'm actually wearing one glove because this is the hand that I always stab. So one hand for free movement, and then try not to get tetanus on this hand. So turning on my heat gun. And my temp is oh, that's really high. Okay, so I'm gonna try like, I don't know, 370. Fortunately, don't remember what it's supposed to be. Hopefully you can still hear what I'm saying, but I'm just kind of pointing it at the jack spring, and I'm watching to make sure that I don't scorch the wood. And when you do a lot of these, you can actually tell like when the glue is melted, and it kind of gets bubbly. But actually Wurlitzer used a couple different types of glue, so sometimes you just have to do a couple to see how the glue is going to react and which kind of glue they're using. I'm going to try now. Might not be hot enough. But then you just kind of take your plier and just try to pull it out and see if it comes out. The glue is not hot enough. It's coming out, but we're leaving a lot of glue behind. So I'm just going to stick it back in. And now that the spring is out, I can actually really see the glue. Sometimes they use a lot of glue, and sometimes they use a little bit, and it's better that they use a little bit because it takes a little bit of heat to heat it up. When there's a lot of glue, it just kind of like insulates, and it takes a little bit longer. And the longer that you have the heat on, the more likely is you're going to singe something. When I use the palette knife, it's actually really hard to singe things, but it's wood, and you can always burn it. It's just what it does. Okay, I'm going to try one more time. So now I can use my pick. Trying not to stab myself. That's why you have to be wearing gloves to do this. And the other thing is that the heat gun actually takes like a little bit to heat up. So it's going to take like 5 to 10 minutes before it's like at like maximum heat. I just kind of let it go because the switch is on the back. And so I'm going to give it a couple more seconds. Switch is on the back, and then I feel like when you're using the heat gun, I don't really know what people use the heat gun for other than this, but I think that it's fine to let it go, as long as you keep an eye on it. Okay, so still didn't singe it, which is It's always good. That's kind of the goal, is just to get the glue out without singeing. And that was the last of the glue. And I use my hole reamer to just kind of make sure that I have a little channel for the new spring to sit in. And you don't want to take out too much wood, but you do want to take out enough that the spring is going to sit flat. Okay, there we got it. And just 63 more to go. And then 2 more keyboards after that. Actually helps to pull out the spring before you stick it in the jig, because you can kind of like heat the spring also with the heat gun, and then I'm assuming that the heat's going to like transfer down the spring into the glue. That could be wishful thinking, but it's why I prefer to pull it out first. And I used to use a heat gun that did not have temperature settings. I used that one for a really long time. So that's why I'm not 100% sure what temperature is the best one, because I guess it just got hot. So maybe soon I'll remember what the temperature is on this fancy heat gun. And sometimes it comes out, so I kind of like try to knock it back into place. Really want to make more of these jigs, because I know that people are replacing jack springs. I'm not completely sure how they do it without this little tool to shield the wood and prevent it from getting burnt. I know that a lot of people use acetone to melt it, and the I don't do it that way because it's really messy and slow for me. What?
Some glues it doesn't work.
Okay, well, it could work on some glues.
It doesn't work on this glue.
This glue doesn't really work on. So that the spring came out, we still have the glue left. So that's why I'm going to heat it up a little bit more. If you are doing this and you do singe the wood, it's not a big deal. It doesn't really affect it as long as you have like a lot of wood left. Obviously you have to be careful and like don't start a fire, but it's really cosmetic. But we are really trying to be very accurate on the removal so that we can keep the wood looking clean, and someone can do this again in a few years. Okay, so I think that's all the glue. We're just going to ream out the hole a little bit. Okay, and now we're down to 62. This one has a lot of glue in it, and I like when it has a lot of glue, because then you can really watch it and you can really see when it looks like a bubbling swamp, and that's when you take the spring out, and it usually takes out all the glue with it. I know that a lot of pianos actually don't use any glue for the jack springs, but I think that most pianos aren't really supposed to like go on stage and like move around as much as a Wurlitzer was intended. So I guess it makes sense to put a little reinforcement in there. And I'm going to try it. So got the spring completely out, and we just have a lot of glue left. You don't need to remove so much glue that you're also removing like a lot of wood. But you really want a clean hole for the next spring to sit in. So that's why I try to get as much glue out as possible. Alright, so I just have 3 more. I've been at it for about an hour and a half. And I have a couple more tips. So if you are having trouble removing the spring, mostly the solution is just to heat it a little bit more. And sometimes you can break the spring very deep down and you just have a tiny little piece of spring left to grab onto, and it's really hard to grab onto it. So in that case, just heating it a lot is the best way to get it out. It makes the glue really melty, and then you can just kind of grab it with your orange metal tool. And so this keyboard has this like clear glue that Wurlitzer used on some keyboards. Haven't really been able to notice if it's like different years or just like maybe they just have like a surplus of this glue. But it is the more difficult glue to work with because it never really melts. It just kind of gets more flexible. So I've been using the reamer a lot. And basically, I'm not trying to remove too much wood, although a little bit of wood comes out. It's okay. There's a lot of wood left, but pretty much just trying to use it to like grab onto the glue like you're twirling spaghetti on a fork. And otherwise, it's really hard to get it out with this tool. And I did break a glove by poking myself, so it's good that I was wearing the gloves. And this is the second to the last one. I have always been interested in the kind of glue that Wurlitzer used. And I've been scanning the document collection. And there's a lot of documents that specify different kinds of glues. So I've really been looking forward to finishing the scanning so I can like go into it and see what those part numbers are and if they are related to electronic piano at all. Because then we could see exactly what we're working with, and maybe even see like the 2 different kinds of glues. Because the other kind that you see, it's a different color, it does get a little more melty. See, so I just kind of use the reamer to loosen the glue so that I could grab it with the pliers. And if you're not sure whether you've loosened enough glue and whether you need to maybe get a little bit more out, you can always wait for the next step when you put the new spring in and just test fit one before you glue it in. And that'll let you know. So when you do a lot of them, you can kind of tell by sight also. And this is my last one. Another thing about this is that clearly it wasn't, at least it wasn't fully automated. It could have also been, people gluing these in individually, because every single one of them has a different amount of glue in it. And this one had very little glue, so I'm just going straight to the reamer and just trying to pull out the small amount that's left. Some of them have a lot of glue. And, as long as it's not like overflowing, if it is overflowing and it hits the other parts, sometimes you can get noise because the glue is very hard, and if there's an action part that's hitting stray glue, then you'll hear it when you play the keyboard. So you want to keep the glue in there, but as long as it's in the cup, you can use a little bit or a lot, and as long as it keeps the spring in there, you're good. And you can see, like, one of these old springs I just took out, how when the glue dries, it's like completely inflexible and hard again. So you're really working with the on a limited amount of time when the glue is flexible, and if you don't get it out, then you just have to heat it again. And we're all done.